agent review, and it's like,
Yes.
Yeah. You go. Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Yiqiao Jin from Georgia Institute of Technology. So today I'm introducing our project on basically simulating real peer review conferences. Maybe like this is one of the most interesting topic that you have seen during this entire conference. Basically, our paper is Agent Review, exploring peer review dynamics with LLM agents. So this is a joint collaboration among many institutions, and please feel free to scan the QR code for our papers and website. We also have a demo at the very end of the presentation. Is it working? Oh, yeah. So this is the agenda for today's talk. Basically, I will first introduce the backgrounds for simulating peer reviews and also our framework, and then results, broader impacts, and finally, the demo that you can play around with. So as we all know that peer review is super important for academic publishing, it's also one important factors that bring us right here. And it ensures the novelty, accuracy, and the significance of the published papers. However, the peer review process faces several challenges. For example, the bias and variable review quality issue, and also reviewers can have unclear motives, which can significantly impact the quality and also the final results. Also, there have already been a lot of discussions about the review mechanisms, which require a lot of improvements. And finally, as we all know that these days, these conferences are allowing preprint platforms such as arXiv to during the double-blind review process, which can also significantly impact the reviewer bias and also final decisions. But there are already some works that are exploring this entire peer review process. But usually such investigations face these three significant challenges. First is the multivariate nature of real-world conferences. So as we all know that real-world conferences the decisions are impacted by several factors. For example, reviewer expertise, area chair involvement, and also the review mechanisms themselves. The second challenge is kind of related to the first one, which is latent variables, which means that biases and tensions, these factors are kind of hard to quantify, but they contribute a lot to the final decisions for the papers. And third one is more about direct investigation of real-world conference data, because we know that peer-reviewed data is kind of sensitive. It contains the identity information about area chairs and reviewers. If improper usage of such data can lead to decreased involvement of future reviewers and area chairs, because they can kind of review the reviewer identities. So recently there have been a lot of progress happening in the field of LLM agents. And we actually know that the iClear 2025 is using LLM agents to provide feedbacks to we reviewers. Actually, I know that maybe many of us are kind of anxious about the iClear 2025 reviews, which just got released today. But it just highlights that LLMs are kind of playing more and more important roles in this peer review process. So in this work, we basically proposed the first LLM agent-based framework for simulating the entire peer review process. So although there are previous works that say provide textual reviews or product reviews using LLM agents, we are the first to simulate the entire process from, say, reviewer write reviews to the final decisions from LLM agents. And based on our framework, we propose a large-scale dataset with more than 50,000 peer-reviewed documents, such as reviews, rebuttals, updated reviews, meta reviews, and also the final decisions. And finally, we have several findings that correlate with sociology theories. So this is the entire review pipeline design. So this is actually inspired by real-world conference review mechanisms. We start with reviewing, writing the initial reviews, and then author provides rebuttals, and then area chairs ask the reviewers to update their reviews based on the author's rebuttals. And then in the fourth stage, meta review, which is like the area chair provides a meta review for each paper based on all the previous discussions and also the paper contents. And finally, we have the paper decisions, basically area chair making decisions among all the 10 papers in their batch. So these are some key findings. I will introduce those findings in my later slides. But basically, first of all, social influence. So reviewer kind of adjust or calibrate their ratings with respect to other reviewers after the rebuttals so that they can align with their peers. And secondly, altruism fatigue, which means that one undercommitted reviewer or lazy reviewers can lead to under commitments from all the reviewers after the rebuttal. Echo chamber effect, which means that like biased reviewers, when there are multiple biased reviewers, they kind of amplify each other's negative opinions, and it can lead to a significant drop in the final ratings. And authority bias, which maybe we have already know, like if the author's identity is kind of released during the review process, it can lead to a great change in the final decisions. And finally, maybe the most surprising one is that rebuttal phase does not have such a huge impact compared with other factors such as reviewer bias, partially because like reviewer already have like an initial impression on the papers. So let's dive into the details in my next slide. So this is the like experimental settings. We basically simulate the conference reviews using LLM agents based on real-world conference papers from iClear 2020 to 2023. So it spans 4 years. And we also sample papers of different qualities from oral, spotlight, poster, and rejected papers. So we compare all settings with a baseline settings in which we do not specify the characteristics of the reviewers themselves. And then start from there, we kind of like change the variables one variable at a time. So we start from the impact of reviewer characteristics. First of all, is social influence, which means that reviewers tend to agree upon their scores after rebuttals. As you can see, like in the baseline setting in the first row, the average ratings after rebuttal kind of improve. And also the standard deviation of the ratings among all the reviewers decrease, which means there's a convergence of the scores. And secondly, altruism fatigue, which means that when we include one irresponsible reviewer into the simulation, it can lead to about a 20% decrease in the commitment as measured by the number of words in the review. So this naturally motivates us to study more about like when we add more so-called bad reviewers into this reviewing process, what will be the impact? So here so in total, we have 3 reviewers in the entire process. And when we add more irresponsible or malicious reviewers into the process, we find that the average ratings from normal reviewers decrease. And then those from so-called bad reviewers increase. However, the overall scores actually decrease over time, which highlights the impacts of bias and malicious reviews in this process. And this is maybe a more intuitive evidence, like when we add more irresponsible or malicious reviewers into the process, we can see there's a huge drop among the both initial and final scores in the process. And we beyond numerical analysis, we also perform more fine-grained analysis based on the contents of the reviews. So here we plot the distribution of the reasons for acceptance raised by the reviewers. We can see that actually the distribution of acceptance reasons are kind of similar across different settings. But when we switch to the reasons for rejections, actually it kind of vary a lot. We found that irresponsible reviews are shallow and usually more than 20% shorter than the normal reviews. And also malicious reviews are almost 200% more likely to mention so-called lack of novelty issues or presentation issues in the reasons for rejection. I'm sure that maybe many of us have already received such reviews in iClear 2025, maybe. And then finally, benign reviews mention more constructive advice, such as scalability and practicality issues. We also have results from like a characteristic of area chairs and review mechanisms. So here we plot the agreements between the baseline setting and different settings of area chairs. So conformist means that area chair always listen to the reviewer's opinions. Authoritarian means that area chair only listen to themselves. And finally, inclusive means that the area chair adopt a more balanced approach. So the measures here basically measures the alignment between these different settings with different area chair characteristics and the baseline settings. And we found that when area chair is mostly inclusive, the agreement is the best. So we also have more results like anchoring bias, which means the rebuttal phase is not that does not have such a huge impact on the final decisions, the change in the final decisions. Because of time constraint, I won't dive too deep into these, but I'll directly introduce a broader impact. So basically, although we do this entire simulation using LLM agents, there are certain ethical considerations about LLMs in the real world peer reviews. And LLMs are current LLMs also have certain limitations in doing these simulations. For example, they cannot add new experimental results as what we human do in the real world conferences. So this is actually a live demo for our agent review framework. You can basically upload the PDF of your paper and see what those LM agents reviewers will provide. Actually, not only reviewers, but area chairs. We haven't included the final decisions here. Yeah, but feel free to try it, and please feel free to scan the code. So thanks for listening to my talk. And please feel free to scan the code for the papers and our website. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks. Thank you. Please, yes.
Okay, thanks. I'm Alice from KAIST. I just have one question. As you mentioned, iClear 2025 already, so you know that they're doing reviewer feedback. What are your thoughts about that?
You mean like iClear 2025 is using LMs to generate feedbacks for the
Right. So I guess you mentioned lack of novelty or presentation issue.
Yeah.
And I think that they do consider if the reviewer seems kind of malicious or not really genuine or not working too hard on their review, there's feedback to get more details. So would that alleviate some of the issues that you're raising here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question is, what's my thoughts on the iClear 2025 directly introducing LM agents into the review process? I think it's actually a good thing because actually in my understanding, the process works like this. So you first write your own reviews, and then there's an email sending to your mailbox saying how you can improve your reviews to be more informative. So that's actually after we provide the reviews. I think LMs are definitely able to provide very constructive reviews, and there are already previous work showing that. For example, there was a previous paper from Professor James Stowe group in Stanford University talking about LM agents are able to provide even better reviews than some of the human reviews. So I think it's definitely a good thing, and it's good for